safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone! We are super excited this morning. This is a male lion and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Welcome everyone! My name is Ali and I'm super excited this morning. I've got Ferg on camera with me today who's also very happy.
I'm excited too.
We had male lion roaring pretty much in our camp yet again, but this morning we managed to find it. So if you've got any comments or questions, please do feel free to post them using the hashtag SafariLive. And we've just gone around the dam because it seems like he's gonna come down for a drink. Oh, look at that. Yes. I think I'm gonna go forward just because there's another person that also wants to come and have a look. But isn't this the best way of waking up on a Monday? Oh my goodness. Wow. Awesome. Beautiful boy. Now, I'm not too sure which one of the B-boys this is because I keep seeing different ones, and this one now has a very big gash on his eye. So if you guys can let us know, if I think maybe I want to say Nena because it's one of the ones that I haven't seen, but if you guys think I'm mistaken, please do let me know which one of the Birmingham boys this is using the hashtag SafariLive. So I'm starting to learn them all, and he's been roaring quite loudly for the last, I would say maybe 10-15 minutes, so fingers crossed once he's drank some water he'll carry on doing exactly that, because there is no sound, I think, that is just as magnificent as a male lion roaring next to us. Alright, let's go over to Tristan, who's very happy to be.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome to our sunrise safari. I am indeed ecstatic to be back, and particularly because I'm surrounded by elephants first thing in the morning, which is never the worst way to start the day. Now, as Ali mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, aka the Batman, and it is really what a wonderful way to start the day and to start our week back at Djuma. I'm really excited that we managed to find a nice big herd of elephants. Now, the other exciting part about it is that we have also seen some male lion tracks, and those will be different to the ones that of the animal that Ali has moving through here, and they were on top of some of the elephant tracks. So I think that this lion may have sneaked its way through, and maybe it's gone towards Twin Dam. So going to, once we've had a little bit of time with our Ellies, going to start heading down that way. Now remember, this is an interactive safari, so you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter if you have any questions, or if you have any other updates from the dam cam. Maybe you saw this second lion move past the dam cam at some point, and you can give us some updates. Now we're going to have a cheeky little one come past us. Good morning. How are you? Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Nice to see you. Isn't this beautiful? There's just something about being surrounded by elephants that I can't explain to you. It really is so, so good. Now, these elephants are actually slowly but surely making their way up towards Vuyatela Dam, which is where Ali is with her lion. So let's go across to her and see if these elephants start making their way there.
Ah, well, it would be an interesting way of meeting up. Lion, it seems like he's found some dung now and he was just busy rolling around in it. And a lot of the times they do this just to camouflage their scent or to... Oh, there we go. I wonder if there's another male. Beautiful. Seems, guys, as well that Tristan's found some more lion tracks on top of the elephant tracks where he's been. So I'm sure the rest of their lions are not too far. I'm just gonna try and reverse without falling, which would not be ideal. Go around and try and have a look. That was amazing. I'm so happy that after all this waiting and all these nights they kept us awake, we finally managed to find them. And that roar, wow, it's so powerful. Okay. This would be slightly easier for me to turn around then. Alright. Wonder if maybe he can hear some more lions that we cannot hear, and that's where he's headed. This is a path that they've been pretty much walking the past few times that we've had them on Djuma. They come, there's always one that comes to the dam, has a drink, and then they carry on going in that direction. So let's see. I'm hoping maybe it'll reunite with some other ones. Isn't that iconic Africa? A male lion walking down the road. Happy week, everyone! Mfumo. I kind of had a feeling that maybe Mfumo had that look, but I wasn't sure. So thanks for letting me know. Alright, alrighty. I'm sure they're gonna do what we wanted to do, but we are happy to keep up with him. We shall get out of their shot range. Mr. Bean Steady, you're wondering approximately how much could this lion weigh? Well, this is a very big male, so I'm guessing around maybe 250 kilograms, somewhere around there. 200. They're very big and heavy creatures, and I know it may not look like that right now because we are so close to it, but these are, if we were to stand next to it, I would look tiny. Just wanna let it carry on walking. Oh, good to see you, boy. You're looking very healthy. Ah. Oh, look at that. Guys, isn't that stunning? That's wonderful. Where are you gonna go? Curious to follow it just to know, because they tend to walk roughly the same paths. You see, he's on a game path that he's on now. So I think I want to follow them just to see if perhaps we solve more mysteries. See what route they take every time they come around here. So let me go. Okay, somebody's busy having some bare necessities on the road. More roaring. I'm sure he's also looking for the rest of his coalition. going up the road, so I want to try and keep up with him. But you see, he's busy marking his territory. He was roaring, number one, to advertise his presence everywhere, and then rubbing his head against the bushes with his scent glands. I think he's going into a bit of a tricky area. So let's go over to Tristan, who's with some elephants not too far from where we are.
Well, indeed not, Ali. We are just down the road because I can hear your male calling away just behind us, and it is getting ever so closer as we sit with our elephant. So I'm pretty sure that we are on a collision course between the elephants and the lion at some point. The elephants are starting to kind of move into more thicker, dense vegetation and down behind the dam wall of Weatela, and I would imagine that's where Mfumo is on his way to as well. Now, like I said earlier, there is tracks for another male, and so maybe that's what he's picked up now, is that there's another male moving down this way, and so he's going to try and follow those tracks and see where it takes him. The interesting thing is that he is calling, but there is no response from any other lions. I've been sitting trying to listen very carefully to see if we can't pick up any other sound of males calling somewhere south of us, but as yet nothing. So I wonder if the other males are not busy with something, that they're trying to stay quiet and hide from poor Mfumo and not sort of show their presence. But the elephants are not perturbed at all. It's quite interesting to watch them, because you would think with a lion roaring and a lion making a lot of noise very, very close to where they are, that they would be a lot more alert. But you can see there is really a peaceful sort of feeding nature going on this morning. Nobody's perturbed by this massive boombox that is behind us calling away. They all seem to be quite relaxed about it. I would imagine if they saw the lion it would be very different, because there are quite a few small babies that are inside here, which would mean that they would have to be a little bit careful of something like a male lion, and you might find their attitude would change if they actually saw it. But for now they can hear it, they know where it is, and they're not too stressed about it at all. But this youngster has been loving this particular bush. So Gary, an elephant's sense of smell is very, very, very good. They can pick up things a lot further away than what we would with their trunks, being able to suck up that scent and going in and being able to analyze what's going on. So their sense of smell is much, much better than what ours is, and they're able to sort of pick up things that we wouldn't be able to smell at all. So you'll find often with elephants, if there's a bit of a breeze blowing, then they'll put their trunks up and they use that basically to scent the air. So they'll know that there's going to be particles of scent that are being blown along by the wind, and they'll then use their trunks to be able to get it up there and pick up whatever's being blown in on the wind. So they're able to pick up these very, very faint scents, things that we won't be able to pick up at all, which is very, very cool. And you'll often see it when they come across dung that is quite old. Now for us it wouldn't have a very pungent smell, but for an elephant it's going to tell them the whole story of who that herd is, where they've come from, whether it's a male, whether it's a female. They're able to work out all of those kind of things, and that's because they have that organ of Jacobson in the roof of their mouth, much like most of them analyze the chemical scents that they pick up. Now I wonder if our young female is going to come around the bush and through towards us. The rest of the herd is all passed over, so we had most of them coming, and now it's just the young males that are at the back. And I see another two naughty boys coming in the background there with a little bit of a swagger down the hill, which is quite common when elephants come down sort of slopes areas. You often find they have this kind of bounce as they come down. Yes, good morning. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can see there we go. Yes, it's okay, you can cross the road. There's a fallen over stump that's just in front of us here, and so they keep coming down with sort of quite a bit of speed, and then they get to there and it's either the car or the stump, and they have to then change course, which is obviously all a bit much for some of them. And you can see how these boys are posturing to one another. You see how they lift each other's heads, and they will then kind of show to one another, I'm the bigger, stronger individual, and try and make sure that they dominate one another as young males. There comes one of the females. Hello, girl. I think that's the last of the herd coming down and through, and they're going to go into quite deep bush now. I would imagine eventually they're going to head up towards the dam, It looks like they came from there at some point last night, but I would imagine that they're going to head back that way as the morning gets warmer. The sun is just starting to come up now, and there's going to be a bit of heat that's going to come down, and you're going to find these elephants are going to then start trying to find some water. So I wouldn't be surprised they turn back towards Vuyatila Dam, or maybe they're going to carry on with the drainage line and head south towards Twin Dams. Either way, we'll try and keep up with them for a little bit longer, although I think our sort of view of them is going to get very poor in the next little bit. It is very, very dense and thick on our left-hand side here, and is not an area where you would want to follow elephants, particularly if there's a male lion close by, because if the elephants find that lion, they're going to go crazy, and if you're in their way, well, it's not going to be a very pleasant experience at all. And it actually reminds me of a funny story I had in Kruger. I was just in Kruger last week, and I went with my brother, who doesn't get as much time out in the bush as what I do, and we had an elephant herd on the road, and they were quite close to us, and we're having a very good chuckle to ourselves because all the other cars were about 400 meters behind us and reversing as the elephants were kind of crossing the road, is because they were quite petrified by the sight of all these elephants in the road. And of course, well, we just stood there and we had this beautiful sighting of elephants all around us, which was very, very cool. Right forward for us, elephants are disappearing into a horrible thicket, and so while they do that and while we carry on, let's go back to Ellie and see if she's had any luck relocating on Mfumo.
Well, we have had luck. He is just busy moving in a very difficult area, so Rex has managed to find him. Come on, car. No, it's not the time. So we're gonna go back to where we were, and we're gonna go around, and hopefully he will find him, because he's still got visual of him, and he's heading into that drainage line in that direction where we had them, the whole pride, last week. So fingers crossed. The rest of the pride is somewhere in there, but let's see. Got to first maneuver around very difficult bush. Whew. Lady Starfire, you're wondering if an established coalition would kick one of its members out. No. They wouldn't. They are a coalition for a reason, and they rely on each other. However, they would fight in between with each other for dominance. But I don't think Mfumo's been kicked out of anything. Oh, sorry guys. Just need to think where to go. This is such a difficult spot. I don't know exactly where he's headed, and alright, let's do some going around the bush here. Big as you think that maybe he's going to see his cub. Well, male lions don't really have that much of that parental behavior where they'll be happy to see one of their cubs, but likely they keep in touch with the rest of the pride, see if everyone's still around and what's going on. But he could be very well be headed into that general direction where, if the rest of the females are there, because we know Tristan had tracks for them, or for another male, so I think maybe he's also starting to look for them. Now I've got to find Rexon. Still got his tracks here. You can see his 2-track. Yeah. Kylie, you're wondering if a lion's roar would scare off possible prey in the area. Likely. There's a very big male lion roaring. Not too many Impala are going to stick around in Kuru because they know that there's one of their potential predators there. Okay, at least it's easier to maneuver down here. Don't know where Rexon's tracks have gone off to. Oh, he's there. Okay. We're gonna we're going to try to find Rexon once more and maneuver around the bushes. But while we do that, let's go to Tristan, who's driving around in the beautiful golden light that he loves.
Well, I am indeed. I'm quite happy to see this golden orb of sun rising on the eastern horizon, because it's going to bring a beautiful day, and so that's going to be fantastic. Now, we have got tracks for another male lion going southwards, and it looked like it kind of went towards the Mulawati, but I've lost the tracks coming that way, so I just want to go back towards Twin Dams and just check if they haven't come back onto Twin Dams Road and carried on going south. Might have just gone, there was a big guarri tree behind us that he might have just gone and scent marked and then carried on back onto the southerly direction, because that's been his sort of tactic the whole morning, is just walking straight south all the time, and he goes off the road a bit and then back onto the road again. Now, I'm pretty sure that this male might have crossed out already. If he's not lying at Twin Dams, then he's definitely probably gone. I see his tracks are still going southwards here, so let's carry on following these along. Like I said, they were on top of the elephant track, so it's possible that he is still here, but us sitting with those elephants for a while, and if he's really moving quite quickly, then it would indicate that he probably, in all likelihood, has already crossed out. But it's still exciting to be able to see big male lion tracks again on Djuma and see them walking around. And while I've been away, it seems that the lions have been causing absolute havoc and have been walking around all over the show. I've lost his tracks here. I don't see them anymore. It's a difficult area to actually look for tracks, because the substrate here is quite hard and the ground is quite hard, and so all you're looking for is almost a smooth section where there would normally be a tire track. So when you're on hard ground and you're trying to find tracks, instead of looking for an actual footprint, you just see where the tracks are and where it's broken up and where there's sort of the tread looks like it's broken, and that's where the track is itself. It's a lot harder to actually see a definitive track when following on areas like this. Now, it looks like they've gone down towards the Mulawati from here, so I just want to go around it. The Mulawati does like a little kink and then it comes out at Twin Dam, so maybe he's just taken the shortest possible route, which is what lions often do. They're not like us that are restricted to roads, so sometimes what you'll find is that they'll just take a shortcut and they'll head into the drainage and then out again on the other side, and instead of going like this big loop around, they just walk straight through. Here are his tracks again. There we go. So Michael, you were wondering about Amber Eyes and the cub, and whether or not if I came across the cub unattended and it was just lying out in the road, let's say, what would happen? Well, Michael, we would immediately close off that area, so it would be leave the cub alone and the area would be closed off, and the reason for that is because the cub itself is still very, very small, and so it wouldn't be able to be viewed at all, so it would become a negative sighting, and therefore it would be completely closed and we'd all have to leave the cub to its own devices. As if mother is there, and then it's a different story, or if you follow Amber Eyes and she then calls out the cub, that's okay. But it is still quite young, so it's not an animal that we are going to actively be searching out for the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, until it gets to about 6 to 8 weeks old. Then we'll be able to start looking for it a little bit more intently. Now, I'm just trying to see where these tracks go, because the last ones I had were back behind us. And I know Hosanna was seen in this area last night as well, so I'm hoping that he hasn't been scared off by the noise of male lions walking through this area. Let's see if there's nothing lying at Twin Dams potentially. I see our lion tracks are still going southwards, so they're just here in front. Oh, come on Rusty, get into reverse. There we go, Craig. So we can see there that it's just the one male on his own that's walking. The tracks are nice and clear here and just going up straight past Twin Dams. So I'd imagine that this animal has already crossed south, but I just want to check on the other side. Sometimes they do like to lie around Twin Dams or Baboon Pan area, and maybe we just get lucky there. But I think in all likelihood this lion is already gone. Now that means that we will turn our attention more towards Hosanna and see whereabouts they left him. They said that he came north up in the Mulawati, and they left him in the Mulawati playing around last night. It was about 7:30 apparently when they had him, so we're going to try and see if we can't find him somewhere here and see if potentially he's decided to spend the night on Djuma, which would be good. I don't think I've seen Chongile or Hosana in over a month, so it would really be good to see them. I know the girls have seen both of them this last week, and that's encouraging news that they've been spending a bit more time back this side. They look really healthy too. I saw some photos of them, and it's quite good to see how well they've done considering. Mr. Gray's kitten, you're wondering what I've missed the most since I've been gone. Well, if I didn't say Ali, I would get a beating, so I'd have to say Ali first. But in terms of being out in nature, I would say, I don't know actually. I miss all of it really. It's just the fact of being out here and the sort of fresh smells that you get and the air that is around you and the sort of looking for animals and then spending time with all the animals. It's, you know, we're very fortunate in that we get to spend long periods of time with the elephants and lions and leopards and all these other creatures, and so that makes it a lot sort of nicer to be here than in, let's say, the Kruger Park where you're a lot more restricted. So I suppose that and sort of being able to go out and look for for these animals, those are always my sort of favorite things. Now I'm here at Baboon Pan quickly, and I just want to just scan around and make sure there's no sign of anything. I don't actually see where that lion has crossed, which is quite interesting. So I don't know if he's maybe lying here somewhere. But what we'll do is just do a little loop up towards Weaver's Nest area. Now, other than sort of looking for animals, it's also just, you know, the sounds that are associated with being at Djuma. So the sort of scops owls calling at night, or the pearl-spotted owlets calling at night, those kind of things are all sort of part of being out here, and hearing those sounds just makes you kind of feel like you're back home. So those are the things I miss the most, and like I say, they're just spending time with animals themselves. I don't see where this line has crossed. Where have you gone? I wonder if it didn't go into the Mulawati drainage system and just lie up there. Maybe it did. The last track was going south though. But no sign here, so I think I'm going to turn around if I can't get back towards the Mulawati and see if we can't find any tracks for Hosana. While we do that, let's go back to Ali and see what she's deciding to do now that she's lost visual of her lion.
Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious, Tristan. I'm gonna carry on trying. So he's been moving non-stop, so I'm sure he's headed somewhere with a lot of determination. And, oh my goodness, is this a strike of luck or what? There we go, we found him again. Yay! Rex, I've got him on this side on Vulture's Nest. Rex. Okay, copy, I'll let you know. Whew, alright. That was very lucky. Perfect timing. I'm so happy. I think I'm shaking. Yes! He looks quite sad. I think he's looking for the rest of the pride and he's upset because they're not answering. Go ahead, Mike. Pardon, Mike, go again. Rex is on lock with me. I'm not too sure if there's anybody else approaching. He's just crossed a vulture's nest. Going east. If you want to, I think you can probably make your way. Okay, at least this side that he's chosen is not as thick as the one before. You guys have no idea what we just went through to try and get out and come back onto the road. Oh, come. Alright, trees, I'm sorry. I know you'll get back up. Julie, you're wondering if coalitions are normally brothers, where they can be, or just litter mates. Sometimes if the females have got a bunch of young males that are the same age, they're not necessarily directly related. But it does happen often. I would say that's the most common thing, but it's also quite common to see them, well, not as common, let's put it that way, but it does happen to see male lions associated with other lions that they had never met before. But they've got to be roughly in the same condition, in the same area, roughly the same age. Are you still busy scent marking? I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is roughly the area where we last had them, where we last had the pride all together. So I wonder if he's not looking for them because they've been around here recently. Whoop. Let's go here. I want to see where he goes, because he's been marking all these branches around him, and I wouldn't be surprised if the other male, whoever it was that Tristan had the tracks for, if they've actually been trying to find each other. Because I mean, you can imagine in some areas it's too thick, and what else than their powerful voice to let each other know where they are. You're busy hearing something. I wonder what it is. Let's see where we can find an area that's a bit more open to try and get through. Oh. All right. Okie dokie. Maybe here, and we'll do a bit of a roundabout, but it'll be easier and will cause less damage. John, you're wondering which is more of a battle, the cars or tracking the animals? I don't know. Sometimes it depends where you are. It feels like a car might be harder because you can get to certain places on foot and you'll know exactly where they are once you manage to find them. But putting a car in there is sometimes not a very easy task. Regs, Rally Regs. Okay, still more east. I think that other drainage towards Nyala Road. So I don't know if maybe you want to go around there. This is where it starts getting complicated for us. There's a stump there. And also, he's a lot smaller, and although these cars are wonderful off-road, I have a very strong feeling that I might have a flat tire at one point today. Okay. Not the place. Alright. Let me try maybe, where can I go? I think maybe here. I think maybe here. Let's see. My God. This is like 1,000 million point turn. But there are so many stumps that will just not let me through. Maybe this one's will. Yes. Whew. Alright, now let's try and get him once more. Oh, my goodness, have you crossed the road? No! Lower. Where did your tracks go? Okay, into the drainage we go. I think he's carried on this way. I just got held up by a bunch of logs. Yeah, so he was going straight in this direction, so I don't know if maybe around or if he's just going to be in the drainage now. But it was this side. Okay, let me try. I'll see if there's anything here. I can't. He's gonna be gone. Watch out here. To focus and see perhaps where he's off.
Well, sorry about that, everybody. We're having a few technical gremlins that have crept in. I don't know why, but we shall swat them away and beat them and keep them out of this area. Now, I am following tracks for a female and a young male. Now, I can't see nicely if it's Shongile and maybe Thamba, her new little boyfriend, or if it's Shongile Hosana, or if it's Thandi and Shongile. It's just the tracks are so up and down all over the place. Now I'll try and pull off so that you can see them over there, and they are just slowly sort of heading down the road. Now further back where we were close to Weaver's Nest, there's literally tracks going up, down, all over the place. So I'm just trying to see where exactly the last tracks are. It looks like the fresher tracks are the ones coming down this way, and they are quite fresh, so hopefully we'll be able to find these leopards somewhere here. I'm trying to check all the termite mounds and see if there's not a leopard sunning itself on top of them. We know both Shongile and Hosana are quite capable of going up on mounds and just absorbing a bit of sunshine, as is Thandi and Thamba. So hopefully one of them will be somewhere here where we can actually see them and they haven't crossed out. See, they carry on this way. Now earlier I think I was so busy focusing on the lion tracks that I might have actually missed these crossing over Twin Dams Road. But let's see where they go from here. This is always a favourite area for both Hosana and Shongile. While they haven't been here that much recently, this is an area that they do spend time. They always like the sort of back part of Twin Dams, and so maybe, just maybe, one of them is just lying somewhere in this thicket and I completely missed them as we drove past. It's always worth just checking in here on our left hand side. This is an area that they like to spend time. Are you lurking here, Shongile or Hosana? Come on. So this one is just going slowly. There's a little alcove on my left here which is quite thick, and it's difficult to see it unless you stop and look sort of back towards it, and so I was hoping that's where it would be. Now, seems like no sign there. I just want to check if they haven't crossed this side. No, nothing there, nothing there. I don't think so. Let's quickly check towards the Mulawati. Now, in this area it's quite difficult because there's a lot of traffic of varying different species. Lots of impalas and kudu and elephants and hippos that make their way to Twin Dams and out again, and so sometimes tracks can be squashed by those animals. But I definitely don't see any tracks crossing here. So I did have tracks on Gari Main, which is the first tracks that I saw, so I wonder if they didn't cross towards Gari Main and then have come back again and gone up. So I'm going to try and just do another loop around and see. It also might be worth going to go and check towards Treehouse Dam side and just see if maybe they haven't gone up that way. Careful there, Craig. But no, alas, nothing down this way. I wonder where they are. Let's see here. No sign here either. Right, it means that they've either gone south towards Little Gari, which I'll go and check now, or they are lying somewhere in the grass, and as we saw with Mfumo, it's quite easy to actually lose them in these sort of areas. It's not the hardest thing when it is a cat, and particularly something like a leopard, and these smaller leopards like Tandi and Thamba and Hosana and Shongile, they can disappear in seconds. So I'm just going to try and see. I see tracks here as well. What are these? These are tracks for Hosana going south, which is no good. So I think he's headed back into Little Gari because these are his tracks from last night where they had him and they've gone back exactly the same way he came. So I think he's probably back there. I'm going to try and get an update from the Eastern Channel now and see if we can't find if they had any luck with him. But hopefully the female will still be around, whichever female it might be. It's quite difficult at the moment because Taylor and myself and Ali were talking about it. Hosana and Thamba have grown quite a lot, and so they both have these sort of paws that are quite equal in size. And then you've got Shongi, Tandi and also Shongile, Tandi and Shah that are also now starting to get quite similar in terms of the size of their paws, and so to decode who is who at the moment is not the easiest at all. Now hopefully there'll be some sign of one of them here. Seems to be the story of the last few weeks, is coming to this area and just kind of going up and down. It's quite frustrating when they keep going into Little Gari, but let's try and see if we can't find them. While we do that, I believe Ali has fought off her gremlins and has also managed to have more luck than I have with Mfumo.
We have managed to fight the gremlins. Sorry about that, guys. It seems like sometimes the gremlins get us where we least expect them, but we have managed to find him again, and he's just again in a bit of a dip over here, and he seems to be eating some grass, which is quite a rare thing that cats do, and sometimes they do it just to purge themselves, to clean their stomachs. And it seemed earlier that he was also smelling something, but unfortunately from where we stand, it's a bit hard to be able to see it. So we're gonna be patient here and just see where he decides to go next. We are in a very big block and lots Lots of going up. I thought there was another lion roaring there. Sorry, but it was not. I mean, just imagine how hard it would be to normally see, and I think we've been super lucky with this guy this morning. It's been incredible. I think he's been moving for quite a lot. KD, you say that Mfumo's face looks the best it has in a long time. Well, that's good news. He's also looking quite healthy in general. He looks very strong, somewhat of a full belly. So I don't think he's been struggling lately. I think he's been doing just fine. And I wonder, Taylor and I were talking about it the other day when we had them roaring right outside our staff village or staff compound or where we stay. We heard what sounded like two males fighting. So we wonder if up to an extent it wasn't actually they caught something small like an impala and then they were fighting for it. Oop. Oh my goodness. How are we going to get there? Alright. I want to see where you go. Alright, if he carries on in this direction where he is, we might be able to get him on another road. But I think we're going to have to do a bit of off-roading as well, just to try and keep up with him. And see where he goes. I see he's busy marking. And let me just move, because then otherwise these guys won't be able to move. Okay, well I can see him. Moving on the
I still think Kosana is this side. Now, sorry about that. Like Mulawati instance creeping up there. Well, we're trying to get out of the Mulawati so that we can stop getting our own gremlins. Now, it seems like the young man has definitely gone southwards, and there are reports of Thamba being on little guys. So I would imagine that is trap. There also for Asana crossing southwards, so I would imagine he's there, and the female, well, it could be, like I say, Shongile or Tandi, and there's no sign of them that you can find coming back northwards. It all looks like they all go south, so we're going to slowly, leisurely make our way probably towards Chitwa and see what we can find. Now, what was here? Just want to see something quickly. Just there, some ellies were messing about and moving around, but it's amazing to see the sort of interaction that we're having between sort of Husana, Thamba, and Shongile, those three, and how they sort of keep popping up with one another all over the place. It's really very, very odd, and it's a strange situation, because I would have thought that Tandi would have been very defensive of her area and her cub and would have chased these young leopards away, particularly Shongile. You know, she's a young female, and I would have thought that Tandi would have pushed her out of her area, but it seems that they are quite comfortable around one another, and it just goes to show you a lot of what we read on textbooks about leopards being solitary animals and never spending time with each other is actually not necessarily true. And in an area like Sabi, where we've got so much density, where there's such a dense amount of leopards, it really is just shows you that they actually will spend time together and will have sort of moments where there are more than one of them in an area, and that they actually are not aggressive with one another if they don't pose a threat. So if it's two like Antelope and Cheetah, yes, you'll expect them to be quite aggressive with one another. But if it's a situation where it's, let's say now with Tandi and Shongile, I would imagine that Tandi doesn't perceive Shongile as a threat yet, because she's not big enough to be a threat. Ah, there's a little mammal. You see a little steenbok over there, Craig. It's just hiding behind the grass at this stage. Now, we're being called by one of the sort of eastern stations, so I just want... Now, there we go. There's our little steenbok coming out. Now, it's a little female. The male should be somewhere close by. They are a monogamous species, which means that they form a pair for life and generally are both near one another. Now, there comes the male. He's coming out just to the side now. There he is. Just coming off that warri thicket a little bit to your right, Craig. There he is. You can just see him moving, and then the female has disappeared behind that there. Now, there he comes. Good morning, boy. Now I can do that is a big dominant male, even though it looks tiny. That is as big as they get. And you can see they're all puffy this morning, so this is often what you'll find with antelope in the morning, is that they puff themselves out and try to make themselves a little bit warmer by trapping air against the body. Now, these two, you can also see how well they camouflage. As they start to move into the grass, that sort of reddish tone almost becomes invisible to the naked eye. Yes, we're talking about you. She almost looks like she's starting to show a bit of signs of pregnancy. You can see the belly's just starting to sort of get a bit of a bulge in it. Now, it would be very early for a steenbok to be pregnant. Generally, they're giving birth around sort of November time, so it would be quite unusual. But if you look at the male that's coming along now, look at his belly in comparison. You see how much flatter it is compared to the female. She had that little bulge, and his is very, very flat in comparison to hers. But there we go, that's cool. Now, it's not every day that you actually get to see the two steenbok together. Often we talk about it, but it's generally just the one, and they kind of dart off and they're very shy. So to actually see both of them was very, very cool. Quite chuffed with that. Now, I believe also, which is good news, is that Tingana has been sighted on Little Gari coming north, so hopefully he'll come towards us. So John, you're asking what happens if one of our steenbok dies. Well, if there's a breakup of the relationship via a predator, then you'll find then they'll try and seek out another mate. They're not going to just spend all their time in sort of loneliness. As soon as there is a situation where a predator kills one, then they will actively search out another individual to be able to mate with. What is quite interesting though is that with steenbok and duiker, which are both monogamous species, it's quite common when there is a predation on one that the other one also gets preyed upon. And the reason why is because the other one comes looking for its mate, and it goes around for a few days trying to find its mate. And often if it's something like a leopard, the leopard is still in that area with the carcass, and it spots that one and will hunt it. And I remember on Chitwa, I once saw Thandi kill an entire duiker family. She started with the female, and she grabbed that, and then she managed to grab a young one, and the male stayed in that area for about 3 days, and he kept kind of moving around, and we saw him actually quite close to where Thandi was in the tree, and she was kind of feeding, and he just stayed there all the time. And then on the third morning we got there, and the male was up the tree too, so she had the entire family unfortunately up in a torchwood, which was a bit macabre, but it just goes to show that unfortunately with these guys, they become so attached to their partner that sometimes this will happen. But alas, there was a few new duiker that moved into that area fairly shortly afterwards, so it wasn't too detrimental to the population. And I suppose Thandi had to eat. It was at that stage she was busy feeding Wabeyiza, her first male son. So he was a big boy at that stage. He was over a year old, and so he needed quite a bit of meat. So the 3 duiker together actually was a fine meal for him. Now, like I was saying just now, Tingana is coming north slowly, so I'm just trying to listen to what's going on and just to see if he is coming this way. So far it sounds like he's still quite far south, but is steadily moving north, and we know Tingana is he can cover massive amounts of distance very, very quickly, and so it's worth us just staying around this area and just seeing maybe we get lucky and he does come up towards us. But other than that, it's a beautiful morning. It's now the sun is up. It feels quite pleasant, especially now that we're out of the Mulawati where it gets a little bit chilly, and it seems like it's going to be a beautiful day. There's no wind like we've been having the last sort of few days, and the cold front that we had that came up from Cape Town that caused destruction down in the Cape area is seems to have passed us now and kind of gone into this area. So now we should be clear. We should have nice clear skies, and it's always good for game viewing after we've had a bit of a windy sort of period, that they then sort of dies down, and then you'll end up in a situation where things start to get actually a lot better. So it's good news for us, and it's definitely been a good start of the day with Mfumo and the evidence and definite sign of leopard in the area, which is always very, very good. Now, I'm just trying to see. Sorry, I'm just listening to the radio now because so it sounds like Tingana is walking straight towards Thamba, but just on the southern side of the boundary, so it's all good. Hopefully they're going to come northwards, both of them, and then we'll get both of them to ourselves, which will be fantastic. But it sounds like a bit of a bun fight between everybody at the moment, because they're all trying to get there before the two join up so that they can see the interaction, which I suppose is understandable. Now I want to know what actually happens there, because obviously Tingana, well, we would imagine is the father for Thamba, at least him or Quarantine, one of the two of them. I don't think there was actually documented proof of Quarantine mating with Thandi at that stage, so Tingana would probably be the best bet. And it's going to be interesting to see how he behaves around his young son. It is now starting to get quite large. We know that Hosanna has had a few sort of interactions, if you want to call it, with Tingana, and that it's been all so far quite pleasant. But sometimes Tingana can be in a grumpy mood and you can chase his offspring around a little bit, so let's see how that plays out. Hopefully Thamba will be alright. I can assure you that Thandi won't be that far, and if she hears something she'll definitely come running into that whole situation to protect her little boy, as any good mother would. But other than that, there really is very little this side mammal wise. So you're wondering what happens when a lion and a leopard crosses paths. Well, basically the leopard runs for its life, and the reason why is because lions are so much bigger and so much stronger that they generally will be able to push leopards out of the way and kill them. So basically you find a leopard will try into a tree and into the tallest branches. So if we had to see a tree like this, this big one on our right hand side over here, you'd find the leopard would go right up into the top parts, so up there somewhere, and then the lion wouldn't be able to get, because the lion is so much heavier. Even though it can climb, those branches won't be able to hold its weight, so it'll end up in a situation where the leopard will be able to get up higher, and it'll just sit and wait out the lion, and the lion, once it knows that the leopard is too high, it will sort of lose patience, come down and leave them alone. But generally leopards will be absolutely petrified of lions and will try and move out of their way as much as possible. And in a situation like this morning where Mfumo is calling, you'll find that they'll hear that, and often a leopard will start moving away from that particular area. They can hear very, very well where that lion is calling from, and they're not going to head directly there, because they know that there's then a potential risk and a potential threat of another predator. So if I try to avoid as much as possible, and quite a few times a leopard being chased by lions, it's not, seems like a very stressful experience for a leopard. You often find sitting clinging to branches for long periods of time until the lions move off, and once the lions move off, they're down and running and trying to get out of that area. I once watched a poor little female leopard called Sakai, who we've seen on Safari Live, but I don't know where she's actually ended up nowadays. But she was once chased up, she caught a steenbok, and she was then chased by the salalas up this tree, and she had to sit there while the salalas ate her steenbok. And then one of the younger salalas, the young males, that are the three that we have been seen around, they went up and they were trying to get to her, and she went right up onto the top, and she was almost like clinging onto a poor little branch, and the branch was bending under her weight, and the lions were kind of watching her, waiting for her to fall out. But luckily she managed to kind of hold it, and the lions eventually got actually chased off by hyenas, funnily enough. The big Elephant Plains clan came in and pushed the lions away, and they then sort of distributed out, and then poor Sakani could actually get herself onto a proper branch, and that's where she remained for the most of the morning. It was only until much later, it was in the winter, so it was about 10 o'clock that she actually came down, and the lions by then were long gone, and so were the hyenas, but she was absolutely petrified at that stage. So I felt very sorry for her, and she, especially at that point when the branch was kind of bending and she was holding on for dear life, it was quite something to watch. Now, I wonder if there's going to be any. I haven't driven this side for a long period. It's sort of a beautiful area, this up on what's called Drakensberg Road, and you can see, you can just make out the Drakensberg in the distance. Now the Drakensberg is the mountain range that goes from south to north, and it comes up along our sort of western boundary. And today it's very, very hazy because we're now in the winter months, and we often get this sort of dust layer and smoke layer from some of the fires that will be around when the dry times come, and so it's not that easy to see. But it's very pretty up here, and it's been a long time since I've driven up here, so I'm going to try and see if there isn't something lurking about. While we do that, let's go across to Ali, who's apparently stationary and trying to keep the gremlins at bay by staying still.
Yes, the gremlins have been fighting us hard over here, so again, I'm sorry for all of that. But now we are trying to see where Mfumo has gone off to, because he crossed a drainage line that is quite a tough one to maneuver around, so we decided to go around because there was no ways that we would be able to get through the bushes unless, you know, the car grew wings. And now there's three of us just pretty much parked waiting, because we last heard him roaring and it seemed like he was almost heading south towards Twin Dams, and I wonder if perhaps he doesn't know that there are more lions there. But we haven't been able to see any tracks on the road, or haven't been able to pick him up, so we are pretty much opposite on the drainage line of where we were with him earlier. I don't know if maybe he's gone slightly further south or where he's been moving along, so I just wanna wait for a little while, see if perhaps he roars again, and that'll maybe give us a bit of an idea of where he is. Because unfortunately, it was one of those areas where there was absolutely no way that we could get through. Shamson, you're wondering if the Nkuhumas and the Sticks would get together to form a coalition, I believe. No. The lion prides are very territorial, and they do not team up with other lion prides. That's why the Nkuhuma pride is one pride and the Sticks are one pride, and where you see the one, then the other one tends to move away, and they're constantly moving around, avoiding each other. They're territorial creatures. They do not tolerate any other female lions in the area with other cubs, because they're all fighting for the same resources: food, water, places to have their young. What does happen is that, for example, the Birmingham boys, they don't care about the different females. They just care about other males coming into the area. So they will spend some time with the Sticks, and then they will spend some time with the Nkuhumas. But if there were other males to come around, they would be very upset. I need to move because there's somebody coming. So let me get out of the way. Okay, come. Let's see. Okay, good luck. Alright, well, I suppose we can stay here for a little while and carry on hearing. I have a feeling he's gone a bit further south from where we are, but hopefully he'll be somewhere around here. I don't think he's gone to sleep just yet. He seemed to be too eager and moving around a bit too much, and it is possible that he's crossed this road and carried on, but it's hard for us to tell. Because if it was just his tracks crossing around the road, somebody could have already driven over them. It could be that he is not there, that he's carried on moving in between the blocks. So I think maybe let's be patient, although we've had a wonderful morning so far with Mfumo moving around, and I'm so happy to see him. It's always great to wake up to lions roaring and just being able to find them and spend some time with them. And I think all that's the smoky, like we can see his breath, you just get an idea of how cold it is. Whew. Alright, let's go over to Tristan in the meantime and see what he's been up to. I think he's also in the search for smaller cats.
We are in search of the spotted cats, and I'm going to just try and see. Apparently we might be able to see Thamba from the boundary, so we're going to try and see and just poke our heads in there, and maybe with our super powerful cameras and Batman's ability, we'll be able to see something. It's going to be a bit tight, I think, but we'll try our best. And it sounds like Tingana's stopped as well, and he's busy sniffing around a termite mound. So hopefully we will be able to not only see him but also Tingana later as well. And then if we don't have any luck with any of those, we'll head towards Chitwa Dam, which is always a firm favorite and a firm sort of bet. When it comes to the morning, we'll find the crocodiles coming out and starting to kind of get some sunshine, and the hippos snorting. So Chitwa Dam will definitely be on the cards for a little bit later in the morning. Now, let's just see. I can see where the car is, but it's going to be quite difficult. So, John, you're wondering if the landscape has changed much since I've been away. Well, John, no, not really. It's gotten a little drier, and there's a few of the sort of water holes that have decreased slightly. But other than that, it's pretty much the way I left it and how it would have been. A couple of the marula trees have dropped their leaves and a few of the bush willows, but it really is quite similar to what I would sort of have thought it would have been. Now, I can see where the car is, and apparently he's sitting on a termite mound, so I'm going to just try and see if I can't position ourselves slightly better here. Hold on. But this will be nice if we can find little Thamba, or get at least a view of little Thamba. Now, hold on, Craig. Let's see if we can't get in here and see if we can't see anything. I can see him. Is that him there, Craig? Don't know. We're going to try and have a little look, but it's going to be a long way away. You can just see there's a car on the termite mound itself. There we go. What's that in the middle of the mound? There we go. So there's the spots. That is Thamba. Now he is standing up, which is good news. Maybe he's going to start coming our way and coming and moving in our direction. Now I know it's very far away and it's not the best view, but unfortunately that's inside Little Gari. So we're trying to just get the best sort of view that we can at this stage. And you can see he's quite a long way away. And hopefully, I'm going to sort of reserve hope that if he's standing up, that he might decide to come up and move into this direction. Where we are now, there's a little pan close to us and a little bit of water, and so maybe he's going to come and have a morning drink and move in this direction. You see there's a bit of yawning going on, so it's possible that he is going to move. It's often an indication when cats yawn. James, well, Thamba and Shongile spending time together is an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure why, and it's one of those things in the bush that sometimes we're just not going to have a clear sort of indication as to why it's happening. But I would imagine that being both young leopards, they still crave that sort of companionship, and when Thamba is on his own and Mom is off hunting, and now obviously we know Shongile spends most of her time on her own and away from her sana, it means that maybe she just craves a bit of companionship. And being another young leopard, they are very tolerant of one another and there's no aggression shown, and that's why they keep hanging around together. I think if it was a situation where you found a very small cub, then there would be a very different response from the mother. So from Tundi, she wouldn't allow that young leopard to be so close if it was a tiny young male cub. But given that he's quite big now and he kind of can fend for himself, I would imagine that's why they don't worry too much and don't have too much stress. Now he is coming down the mound by the looks of it. Oh, don't go that way, come this way, come on. Yes, there we go, good boy. Look at him, isn't he just the most beautiful leopard? Now what have you spotted? It seems like he's spotted something. Look, you see he's going stalking now? Now that is typical of a young individual. Stalk mode. Man, wonder if he's not spotted something like a squirrel, because I don't see anything between us and him, and he's looking kind of into the grass or into the tree almost. So I wonder if there's not a little squirrel or a mongoose or something that's moving around in this area that he's busy trying to watch. What have you seen, young man? But he's in definite stalk mode now. He's gotten to a point where he's kind of, look, there he goes, there he goes. What are you chasing? Oh, birds. He was chasing Franklin's. You silly boy, you were too slow with that. But that is the youthful side of it. So getting back to sort of Shongile and Thamba, I would imagine that It's more just a companion thing. So as soon as Thandi leaves, he kind of craves that companion, and given that she's another little female, he knows that he's bigger than her, and so he's not going to be nervous of her. And in the same right, she's had this bigger brother all her life, and so she's really not too worried about him. And because there's no aggression between the two of them, that's why they obviously sort of hang around together. It would also be from probably a food point of view. You're finding a situation where both of them are coming across food, and maybe one is trying to sort of steal from the other or feed off the other, as that's what they've done all their lives as young individuals. They've shared with either their mom or their sibling, and so it makes it a lot sort of easier. Now he is moving slowly towards us. Come on, Thamba, keep coming this way, because you're coming the right way now. But isn't he beautiful? He's really, really one of the most striking looking leopards that I've seen. He's not massive in terms of size. He's got big ears and big paws, but he's not massive. But he's striking in that he's very, very dark, and he's got these dark markings all over him. So, Tiki Best, you're wondering if the cats would change their normal route because of the vehicles or behavior? Well, no, because if they have, then us as guides have failed, because it means we've cut off that individual, or we've chased that animal away from the path that it was walking on. Most of these cats that you see here are very habituated to our presence, so they're very used to us being here, and they know that the vehicles are not a huge threat to them, and so that's why they kind of move around. The only way that you would make them change direction is if you actually sort of drove towards them in some way. Now it looks like he's going back up onto his mound, but look how beautiful he is in the sun. Now the difference is when we see individuals that come from the Kruger area, let's say, that are not followed off road, they would definitely change their direction because of a vehicle. They're not used to this big hunking great piece of metal that follows them off road, and you'll find then that they get a little bit kind of nervous of it and will try and run into a thicket to go and hide. But in this area, no, the leopards here will generally not move around and not really worry about us too much. They continue on their path even if a vehicle is very close by, and that's why we'll sometimes see them kind of doing these walk-bys and moving right past us as they go. Oh, Thamba, come back this side. Seems like he's going to go back to his mound, where he's going to probably reposition himself and decide that's where he wants to be for the morning. Let me maybe go a little bit forward for you, Craig, because there's a slight better gap where I am. It was nice of him at least to come out a little bit so that we could see him, so that should be a bit better, Craig. At least we'll be able to get a clearer view between those trees, I think. Let's see, I might be wrong, but it looks like it's a little bit better. But you can see he really is quite far away. What are you watching? Now this is typical behavior of a young boy. When they are, or young cub should we say, when their mom is not away, at this age they're starting to develop these hunting instincts and hunting skills, and they spot things that move around them, and sheer boredom basically comes into play. So after spending, who knows, maybe 3-4 hours like this, and mom still hasn't come back, now something moves and rustles in the grass near them, and he knows that he can't go too far, but still he wants to try and sort of hunt and try and see what's going on, and that's why he's trying to chase these things. And then you see, once he's done, back to his mound where he can watch and see what's going on. Now, as a young leopard, it's very common to find them in higher areas. So you'll find them in trees or termite mounds when their mom is not away, because it's a great place for them to be able to watch around and see if there is any potential threat coming. So anything like a hyena or maybe another leopard that could potentially come. We know that Tingana wasn't too far away and was moving in this area. So from that elevated position, he would be able to spot what's going on and then be able to come down and move away should that be the case. So it's a very clever position for a young leopard to be in, and a very good instinct that he has. But look at how he blends in. Isn't that amazing? Now, if you came driving past here, imagine trying to spot that. It is almost impossible. There is this sort of cat that is there, but the pattern that it's got has broken up that outline and has made it almost impossible to see. He's just sort of lying there, and if he drops his head down, it would be virtually impossible. Now I can hear some elephants also behind me. So I heard some elephants trumpeting. I wonder if that's not Tingana that's starting to move again and the elephants have seen him. So we're going to sit here for a little bit longer and see. Maybe Tingana shows up and we end up in a situation where we get him too. And if not, we'll go and investigate the elephants down by the water. And while we do all of that, let's go back to Ali and see what her plans are for the rest of the morning.
Well, we think that we are going to roughly leave this general area. We haven't seen any tracks. We haven't heard him again. And after we left him, he roared the loudest he has this morning. And I wonder if it was not perhaps something like, I'm done. I'm here for the day. And he's gone off to sleep. I also know that he does like to go into the Molowati quite a bit. So I wonder if maybe he's not heading off that general area. But let's see. Let's see. But what a morning! Aaron, you're wondering what Lion Pride or Coalition I've spent the most time with. Well, I'm building up my time with the Birminghams and now with the Nkuhumas, because when I used to work at Simbili, we rarely saw the Nkuhumas. But I think the pride that I have spent the most time with, it's actually, well, two of them. One of them is the Southern Pride in the Southern Sabi Sand. And they used to have a dominant male when I arrived there. The Kruger male, we used to call it. Old scarred boy. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure what happened to him. I think maybe he died and he was found somewhere in the Sand River. And then the other pride that I used to spend a lot of time with, or actually another two now that I think about it, was the Hilda's Rock Pride, that I think some people used to call the three coalitions, or the three males that were with that pride, the Sand River males, and we used to call them the Hilda's Rock Pride. Lots of different names for them. And then, well, of course, the Charleston Pride and the Charleston Boys. Back when the gorgeous female was there raising the two youngsters. So I think those are the ones that I used to... Oh! Hello, elephants! That I used to spend a lot of time with. So, that's probably why Mfumo didn't come this way, because we've got lots of ellies around us. Oh, and you see there's a tiny one in between mom's legs. It's very hard to spot, but it's busy nursing. Wonderful. Hi, guys. See how not bothered they are by the fact that there was a lion roaring around here, and I wonder if perhaps he didn't actually catch their scent and decided that he wanted to stay clear of this area and not come directly over here. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Lions are also very clever creatures, and at least look how relaxed and happy they are. I don't think there's been too much going around here. We weren't too far where we were waiting for him to roar again. Lots of little ones. I don't know if you want to maybe have a look at the little one underneath the mom. Moving around in there. It's busy also having breakfast, and every now it peeks underneath the mother and starts looking at us. So something that small, I would say probably about a year, between a year and 2 years old, can still fit underneath the mother. I wonder if perhaps this is the same herd that we had yesterday drinking. Hello, girl. Good morning. Are you smelling us? You see, it is wonderful. You never know what you're gonna find just around the corner. Came looking for pretty much anything, and we found a whole beautiful herd of elephants. Violet, you are wondering if any of the water holes around this area we fill them up or if they just dry up. I think it's a combination of both. There are a few that are pumped so that you will use underground water to pump. Oh, there it is running again. Mike Ferrelli, Mike, do you copy? Alright guys, I think maybe I'm gonna step away from the ellies, see if perhaps we can find him roaring again. Although this is... Hello little one. Mike, I've just got audio of that Madora again if you're interested. Affirm, just a bit further south from where we were. Hello little ones, all of them around. I think it's getting a bit crowded for the girls here. So, if you're nice to me, I'm gonna move away and give you enough space. Because I know you guys were busy moving around. Ah, look at all those little ones. No, I'm not moving away because of you, youngster. So don't pick up any bad habits. Oh, so curious. Look at those little ones. Alright, let's go maybe have a look around, see if perhaps Mfumo is anywhere else to be found. Thank you, Elise, for being so nice. Just the way things are meant to be, hey? We came down the corner, not expecting much, and we bump into beautiful elephants, and while we're with the elephants, and we hear the lions roaring again. Let's see. I have hope that they're gonna carry on moving onto where the rest of the pride is. Let's see. Starlight, you're wondering if the ellies are concerned about the roaring lion. I don't think they were at all. I think they were more concerned about the fact that they wanted to walk on the road and I was there. But the lion was also, it sounded like it was coming from further south from where they were, or quite at a distance. So because the lion didn't roar too close to them, I think that's why they're not particularly bothered about it. Let's see now. Maybe we're gonna start playing a game of cat and mouse. We're going to carry on, see if perhaps we can find it again, but in the meantime let's go to Tristan, who's got some lovely grazing antelope.
Well, we do indeed. We have grazing, resting, moving. It's all types of locomotion with the antelope this morning. Now, I'm sure Mfumo might start heading south because I've just heard his three brothers calling from south of us inside Hoffman's little Gari vessels area, and so I'm sure he's going to be moving in that direction to try and find them. But you can see we've got some Impalas gently kind of moving down towards Chitwa Dam, and then two warthogs that were having a bit of a nap that have been woken up by the passing traffic and decided for a morning feed. You can see the dam in the background. Now, we obviously left Thamba for now because the visual got very, very bad, but Ali's had a bit more success than we have and has managed to find Mfumo.
Well, just as we left you guys a few moments ago, guess who came onto the road? That is right. Beautiful Mfumo. He's been walking so much. Normally, you see, this is perhaps the best way of giving you an idea why sometimes when we hear them roaring at 4 o'clock in the morning, then we are not able to find them, or they cross into different roads once we start moving around. And it is because they don't stop moving. They can walk for such long distances. Okay, come. Gotta fight the landy every now and again. Hang on, where are you going? Okay, come along. Mike, Ferrelli, Mike. What's your luck now? Okay, Gubby, he's gone south from the road. So if you come into Battalier, you'll see my truck heading south. So, alright. I think he's just been busy smelling a lot of things around, and that's why it took him a long time to get out of the drainage line. Also, if it took him that long, I reckon it would have taken us a lot more. Yeah, Tristan, I'm on the log now. Yeah, A-firm, pretty much parallel with the Mulawati now. No, we're just slightly south from Spaghetti Junction. Alright, we will carry on maneuvering our way around here. Hopefully he'll stop moving or lead us to more lions. Oh no, we're staying with us because we've got him up in front of us. Can't believe how much he's been moving this morning. He has literally, or well, not literally, but pretty much almost done a massive circle of all of Djuma. So he started in the, I would say, center northern corner, and then he's just pretty much done a very big loop, and he's heading straight south. So we're heading on to Twin Dams, not too far from there. I think maybe I'm gonna have to go around here because there's a big log there. And I wonder if perhaps the rest of the Birminghams are not on Little Gowrie, because I know they've been spending quite a bit of time in there. And I'm pretty sure that's seems to be where he's headed. Oop. Going to be a bit thick here. It's getting a bit difficult. Alright. I'm going to try and figure out where he's going. I have a feeling he's going to go into a drainage line, but while we do that, let's go over to Tristan, who's got some beautiful warthogs. Don't go into the drainage line, please.
Well, indeed, we've got our warthogs. It's still very peaceful, and I was saying earlier that Thamba unfortunately kind of went around his mound a little bit and became almost impossible for us to see him, and so we allowed some of the other guys who can go into that area to go and have a look rather than us taking up all the space. And so we decided to come down to Chitwa Dam, where it is beautiful this morning. There's this kind of golden light that's coming down. The hippos are snorting in the background. The warthogs are having a peaceful morning grazing around. Now they're going to have to be a bit careful, as is this baby waterbuck that is off to the left slightly. When the water, you'll see the warthog will approach the waterbuck shortly. Now that little baby seems to be on its own. I can't see its mother anywhere at this stage. It just seems to be moving around by itself. Now that would be a prime target for... So that would be a prime target for Tingana. Tingana is a waterbuck sort of fiend. He'll often come and hunt these waterbuck. I've seen him actually with multiple different baby waterbuck kills. So if Tingana is around, that little baby is going to need to be careful and find its mom quickly so that it doesn't actually become a snack. Now, as for the warthogs, they'll also be something that's going to be targeted by Tingana. And what he'll do is, if Tingana's in this area, he knows that warthogs will go to a certain place to go and spend the night, and so he'll try and find a way to get to one of those termite mounds and then be able to sort of spend the time hunting around that particular termite mound, and he'll wait for them to try and come in or to try and go out, and he'll then grab them. I know this morning he was apparently on a termite mound at one of the holes trying to see if there wasn't a warthog inside there that he could then potentially pull out. He's very, very good and adept at doing it. Other than that, like I say, there's some hippos that are around. I don't see any fish eagles this morning, which is quite strange. Normally the fish eagles are somewhere about and they're kind of hanging around on these dead trees around the dam, but alas, this morning no sign of the fish eagles at this stage. They might be sitting off a little bit further to our western side. There's a dead tree on the west that they like to move around in. Now this particular hippo has been quite busy this morning. He's been moving around all over the place. I wonder, just trying to see what it's busy doing there. I thought for a second we might have had mating hippos because of the way it was kind of up a little bit, but it's not. It's a younger hippo. You can see the baby as well there. So it's just mom and baby. Maybe it's trying to allow for space for the baby to suckle. Remember, babies will suckle underwater from time to time, and you'll find that the young ones go under and they're able to drink from their mom, and so sometimes she'll hunch her back just to allow for the space for the baby to get in there and to be able to actually drink the milk that it needs. There's a couple of red-billed buffalo weavers that are flying around on the ground there as well. So they're the ones that are responsible for all the big nests around the dam, and they'll then kind of move around. Now there's a starling on the left, so that's a birch or starling that's flying there, but there was a red-billed buffalo weaver somewhere in that area as well. You'll find they both spend a lot of time on the ground, particularly if there's been antelope species around, because those antelope species will often disturb insects of some sort, and then it's easier for these guys to actually come down and grab said insects. But it really is such a beautiful morning here. Now I did hear elephants in this general vicinity making a noise, so I'm trying to just see where they actually are at this stage. I was hoping that they would be coming down to the water, and maybe they will in a little bit. It's still not that warm just yet. It's going to warm up quite a lot today, and I would imagine that we're going to have a very sort of warm morning and afternoon, and I would imagine that the elephants will start coming into this area, but so we'll just have to maybe be a bit patient. So Violet, you're wondering about baby warthogs and whether or not we actually see baby warthogs. Well, we do see baby warthogs, but not at this time of the year. It's the wrong time of the year for baby warthogs. They normally come out in October, November. That's the best time for them, and that's because they try and align themselves, much like a lot of the antelope species, with the summer months, so that in summer they're able to then kind of come out when there's lots of food, and those little piglets can get the food that they need and the nutrition that they need in order to survive, particularly because the female's also going to feed all of these little ones. She needs high amounts of nutrients, and that means that they are able to have to kind of go and feed off of nice nutritious grasses to provide nutrient rich milk for their young ones. And so you'll find that baby antelope and baby warthogs all around the summer months, which starts for us in sort of end of September, beginning of October, and that's when you normally will find the little ones coming out. And they are super cute. When you get a baby warthog, they're about this size, they're tiny and about this tall, and they're kind of all wiry. They're not stocky as they are when they get to adulthood, but they're still small and with these tiny little legs and this little tail, and very cute. But unfortunately they are preyed upon by multitudes of different predators. So you'll find that leopard, lions, eagles, snakes, all kinds of predators will go after those poor little baby warthogs. Right, so I think we're going to try and just see if we can't move around a little bit and try and see if we can't find something else to kind of look at. I want to try and see if Vlad or Boris is around. Now we haven't seen Boris for a while. Boris is slightly smaller than Vladimir, the Impala, which is our two crocodiles that we get in this area. Now I'm sure Boris must be around somewhere. It's just I haven't seen him for a while, and I was wondering if maybe he decided to move towards sort of Buffelshoek Dam area, but we've checked there so much and there's been no sign of him, so I would imagine that he must be somewhere down here. There is another sort of dam system that is a little bit further south in Hofmans, which he could be at the moment. There's quite a big dam there actually, that they sometimes, a crocodile will go and spend time. It's not often that they spend time there, but it does happen. Let's just see. Now hopefully we won't lose signal, because as we sometimes approach the dam we do get a situation where we can lose a bit of reception. So hopefully in this case all will stay nice and still for us. I'm just going to check if I can't see our crocodile friend on the banks. They're often out in this time of the day on this northern bank themselves. Right, now we're going to try and see if we can't find Vlad, and while we do that, let's go across to Ali, who I believe is still tackling gremlins and bushes in her search for Mfumo.
Seems like maybe there's more than one lion now. Heard them roaring. Where's my radio? Standing by. Not that I know. But yeah, I'm just trying to get back onto the road because I can't follow through this drainage line, but I heard him now calling again. Okay, copy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's walked a lot quicker than what I thought. Yes, Ephraim, Tristan had his tracks for another one around Twindam, so I'm gonna go back into that area, but I need to get out of this spot and just go. I'll come down there and give you a hand. All right. Okay. All right. Thought maybe we would be able to. Daryl, drainage line is a very common word or very common spot, which means to the dips in the road in between the areas where there are no roads. And so it's when the road goes like this, pretty much. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go around. Go. Let's see. Guys, also, if the sighting comes from here, like, just make sure that there aren't too many waiting on Gowrie Main. If there are some others, a little Gowrie, rather follow on those ones up than putting pressure on the same animal. Okay, we're back on the road. Okay. Seems like it's been a game of trying to find each other this morning for the lions. We heard another 2 lions south. Go to Tristan. Let's go to Tristan, who's at the dam. Maybe he'll be able to hear them too.
We are still at the dam, and we're just watching our Egyptian goose family that is busy slowly kind of waddling past us, really, or gliding is probably a better word that we should use. And it seems that we unfortunately are down to 5 chicks now, so there's no longer the 6. But look how big they've gotten in comparison to the adults. Remember the first time we saw them, they were tiny little fluff balls, they were very, very little, and now they've grown quite a bit, and now we can see that they almost becoming very duck-like. The wings haven't developed too well yet. They're still not able to fly yet. They're having to swim everywhere that they go, and it's still got these little stubby kind of chicken wings at this stage, but they will get better as they go. There we go. Let's see when they get out how tall they are next to mom and dad. There we go. Look how big they are. Massive, and they've got tails are developing. They really are very cute little things. I really like Egyptian geese. They're one of my favorite in terms of babies. When they become adults, they become a lot of noise, but when they're little babies, they certainly are very, very cute. And in terms of birding, this morning has been quite nice sitting at the dam. We've got the red-billed buffalo weavers that are making quite a bit of noise above the Egyptian geese. There you can see their very, very prominent nests that we see around on these sort of dam areas. You'll often find one of those, and it's basically like an apartment building, so there's not just one pair inside a nest of that size. There'll be multiple different pairs in each sort of nest, and each one has got its own compartment and its own apartment, and they will then lay their eggs inside. Then you can see that there was one that just kind of came down. Now then, on the edge of the water we have a 3-banded plover. So for those of you that are into your bird list, there's our 3-banded plover, just picking off little insects as it wades around on the shallow fringes of the shore. So there's a number of them running around as well, And then we've got a blacksmith lapwing that is also wading around in the shallows on my right hand side. So there's lots of birds that are around at the moment, which is very, very cool to see. And there will be quite a few because of the amount of insects that are coming off the water itself. Means that there's a lot of birds that can then feed off that. On top of that, because it's a large water source, we're going to find a lot of things like swifts, particularly the little swift that will be moving around here, and they'll actually come down and drink from this area. The fast moving birds require open sections where they can come down and then just glide across and grab little bits of water as they fly. So there'll be those. Craig, can you see this dead tree on the right of the big dead tree? So that one over there. And there seems to be a whole bunch of birds sitting underneath the nest there that I can't identify at this stage, but I wonder if they're not sort of swallows that may be there. Yeah, there we go. So they do look like swallows. I'm just trying to see which ones they are. Maybe wire-tailed swallows. There we go. Wire-tailed swallows that are flying off. They've got the nice clean white tummy. So you can see they've all just taken off, and that's what I was talking about earlier. They'll fly down and grab little beakfuls of water and drink, and they'll use those sort of dead trees as a perch. So they're around as well. What else can we spot in terms of bird life here? Oh, there's our blacksmith lapwing that is moving around over there, Craig. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. And look at the beautiful reflection as it does. It's quite nice sitting in this particular area because the bay comes round and you can actually get the nice light in the mornings of the birds as they wade along in these shallows. And this will be a good place always to look for rare birds, because rare birds like, as the water recedes, to show areas. So Machine Gun Nest, you say you have a bird like that in Ohio. Now, I'm not sure which bird you're referring to, because there's been quite a few this morning, but maybe you can let me know if it's the swallows or the blacksmith lapwing that we saw, or the three-banded plovers or the Egyptian goose. Which one in particular that you have in Ohio? I would imagine there would be one of maybe the wading birds that you're asking about. Now, I see Vlad is completely sort of hidden at the moment. I can't find him anywhere, so I actually don't see him, so that's a lie. I was checking on the island because here in front is where he often likes to sit, on this sort of buttress that comes into the dam, and then also that island section. That's his favorite place, but lots and lots of hippos there. So Francis, all the way from Israel. Hello Francis, good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful day, although I would imagine that it is in the northern hemisphere. It must be much warmer than what we've had this morning. And you're wondering, is there only 2 crocodiles in this dam? Well Francis, at the moment, as far as we know, yes. When I used to work here at Chitwa in 2012, we did have 3 of them, but I'm not sure what's happened to them. Now, I'm just going to get rid of some spider webs. I do apologize about my hand in the screen. And there was 3 of them, but it seems that one has moved off, and it was just the 2 for a while. And the reason why it doesn't sustain a huge population of of crocodiles, is because at the moment we don't have really any other big dams around us, so it's very difficult for the crocodiles to get to us. There's no river that flows nearby, and so that's why we've got so few crocodiles in this area. Right, now talking about things with sharp teeth and that prey upon other animals, let's go across to Ali with Mfumo.
Whew. He has been walking into some very complicated areas, and I'm sure it's because he's been hearing another 2 males roaring from our southern boundary. So he's just made our way now into Twin Dams, all the way from Gowrie Dam where we had him this morning, and you see he definitely hasn't stopped. I wonder if you're thirsty. You've been roaring so much as well. Maybe you're just looking for a way up the dam wall? Oh, stunning light. Been giving us... I can hear more lions roaring south of us in the distance, so I'm sure that's where he's going. I can hear, I'm sure, the other ones, but unfortunately they seem to be inside Little Gowrie, so we won't have access to them. Yeah, I can hear them too. There we go. just want to see if maybe he'll give us one wonderful last roar for the morning. Maybe not. Cheryl, you're wondering how far would the lion walk? Well, he has been walking a couple of Ks this morning already. And he's done almost like a very big patrol loop all around Djuma, and we were kind of hoping that he was going to meet up with the rest of the Nkuhumas, but I don't think we've had any tracks for a pride of lions. And now he was found in the northern corner, and he's pretty much come all the way to the southern corner, and now that he's heard more lions and some of his brothers roaring in the distance, he's now decided to stand still and hear out. Maybe he wants to make sure where he's walking into, he wants to make sure that those are his brothers. Playing a bit hard to get right now. You've been walking far this morning. We've been looking for you in very horrible places. Sierra, you say that he's thinking about roaring. I think that is a very strong possibility. I think he's tired of walking. I mean, he's been walking since pretty much 6 o'clock this morning, and it is, let me check the time now, it's 8, so for 2 hours. He's been moving up and down, he's been roaring, he's been scent marking, that, you know, without counting whatever it is that he came from during the night, because I'm sure he was also walking around quite a bit, because he was nowhere near to be found yesterday afternoon, the area that we saw him now. Sophie, you're 6 and you're wondering how much water a male lion drinks in a day. Well, if it's very hot, maybe a few liters of water. They are quite a big creature. But this one only had a few gulps about 2 hours ago. I think maybe then he had about a liter. And then later on today, he'll very likely drink again. I thought he was going to drink now when he came around the pan, but it seems like he did not do that. I think maybe he got distracted by the roaring lions on the other side. Niam, you're wondering if he's got a female lion. Well, he's got a few, him and his brothers, that they protect and look after, and that are roughly in the same area as them. So, yeah. But not around here. You see, the males and the females are not always together, and we've seen this male just do a very big patrol today all around. So they don't have to spend all their time together, but if they bump into each other, or sometimes they will go out looking for each other, they can recognize who they are. And know that they are together in one particular area. Okay guys, I think we have had a wonderful experience with these lions, and I think there is somebody else that would like to come, so we're gonna have a last look and see if perhaps. Okay, let's go to Tristan, who's at the dam, and see what he's got for us. Yours for Ali.
Well, we're still just enjoying all the birds that are around and our playful hippos. There's a little baby hippo that's been bouncing around a little bit in front of us, and it's so nice just to come towards the sort of edge and be able to spend time near the hippos in this beautiful morning light is really, really very, very pleasant. And there's lots of snorting and huffing and puffing from the hippo side of things. The Egyptian geese are busy making a noise as well and honking away, so it really is quite cool just to sit here and just enjoy the beautiful morning that we're having. There goes our little baby hippo, who's see the bow wave that it caused. There's mom. I wonder if the little one's going to pop out as well. It seems everybody's decided to go underwater now. Was it something I said, Craig, that they all just disappeared all of a sudden? No, there we go, back up again. think there's just that time of the day now where it's starting to warm up a little bit, that the hippos are starting to get a little bit more active, and you'll find that they'll start maybe coming towards the edge. And often when I was at Chitwa in the winter months, we would find the hippos all lying across the banks here. You can actually see just in front here where the sort of land meets the water, how sort of worn down it is. So this is where the hippos come and lie down during the day and get a little bit of sunshine and just try and warm those bodies up. That's actually quite cool as well. Look at the back hippos there. You can see the little babies directly behind its mom, so it almost looks like she's got 4 ears. Well, that's the best place to be, I would imagine, on your mom's back. Very few things are going to give you trouble if you're sitting in that area. And a little baby. That one is super cute. And that's a fairly newish baby. That's not a very old one at all. That's probably the newest of the grouping here. Now you can hear there come the crowned lapwings over the top as well. And the Egyptian goose also making lots of noise. There, the crowned lapwings. Well done, Craig. That's very, very well done. A lapwing is not a slow-moving creature. Chris, you're wondering what happened to the hippo baby. Well, I assume you're talking about the one that Brent found in January, February, that time. Well, that baby is still here. It will be one of the small ones that is lurking around. So there is another baby that's off to the left of this little one, and another one that's closer towards us. So it could be any one of those. It's difficult to say. You know, the hippos are not the easiest animals to identify just from the tops of their heads, and so it could be any one of these small ones. In fact, it could even be that little one that we were looking at just now, although that one seems a lot smaller than a sort of 5-6 month old hippo. That to me looks more like a sort of 2-3 month old hippo, the one that's just poking out behind its mom there. Okay, Egyptian goose, enough now. There we go. That's better. You'll find the Egyptian goose will probably start honking again once the hippos come up. No, enough now, because you've made your point. There we go, silence. With the Egyptian goose, silence is a rare commodity. You've got to take it when they're around and kind of hope that they keep quiet, because otherwise they just honk non-stop. Okay. Your babies are fine. We're not going to attack them. I wonder where the other adult was. They were both here with these babies, and now the other one's disappeared. I wonder if it's not sort of flown off somewhere to go and feed or to chase an intruder around. What you'll find is that this does happen from time to time. You can hear our lions calling as well. It sounds like the other males that were further south of us have now decided to come north a little bit, because I can hear Mfumo is at Treehouse Dam and he's kind of called, and the others are responding, but they've definitely moved quite far north since we first heard them. But they are in the background. And look at that iridescence on that Egyptian goose's wing. Isn't that amazing? You can see that bright green that's just reflecting off the sun's rays. Very, very nice. Now, Egyptian goose, while it is a bit of a pain because it's gotten in everywhere around the world and they're taking over all the water holes and they're causing a lot of issues for a lot of the native species, they actually are very pretty in terms of a waterfowl. They've got that iridescent sort of green, the white, and then that rusty back, and then that sort of kind of red around the eye itself makes them quite pretty. As you can see, they do like the sound of their own voice as well. They're not shy to make quite a bit of noise. So, Kirk, you're wondering what they're feeding on. Well, they're filter feeders. So basically what they do along the edge of the water surface is there's going to be a developing amount of algae. So if we have a look on our right-hand side here, you'll see just on the edge, so over there's a green sort of scum layer that is now dried onto the ground. So at the edge of this waterhole, as they go along, they're just running their beak through that algae, and that's where they're picking up the nutrients that they need to survive. So that's what they're after, is all of that, and that's why they feed right on the edge of the surface or edge of the water hole itself. The problem with these chicks is because they can't fly, they can't afford to go into too deep water because they won't be able to get away from Vladimir or Boris, and it will be very difficult for them to actually be able to survive. So you'll see what's going to happen now is they'll follow mom, but she'll try and just go around the edge of the water and around that tree. There becomes one of the other adults. But you can see how fast they swim across the open water. You see, it's a much quicker swim than when they were just kind of meandering along the edge, because they know that this is where it's dangerous. There'll also be big catfish around. Oh, hippo, you're going to have to get out the way. There we go. There you go. Have you ever seen a hippo get scared by some Egyptian geese? Well, there we go. But did you see how quickly she crossed there? She knew very well that it was dangerous for her. At least you're wondering if the hippos give birth in or out of the water. Well, they give birth in the water. It's much easier for them to give birth in the water, so they give birth right on the edge of the waterhole in a shallow section where they can have their baby, and then the baby's able to sort of find its feet quite quickly, and she'll be able to nudge it right up to the edge of the water surface, so that even if the baby's struggling to stand a little bit, it's able to at least still breathe and still know what's going on. And like we were talking about earlier, they'll even nurse in water, so the baby will suckle underwater, and most of its first few weeks are really in water. It's very seldom it will actually come out, and the reason why is because there's far more predators on the land than there is in the water itself. And so what you'll find is that mom keeps their baby in water and makes sure that it's safe there, and once it's kind of developed and it's able to move around a bit, then she'll start coming out into these little areas around the waterhole and do a bit of feeding, and then back into the water. And as it gets older, so the amount of time spent out of the water gets more and more and more, until that baby is able to move around completely at about a year old outside of the water at night. So David in Ireland, so you're all the way from the Isles. Now I suppose that's one place in the world where it might be as cold as it is now, even in the summer months. You're wondering if the male hippo will play any part in sort of fathering the young one. Well, no, not really. Indirectly he plays a role in that he provides a safe haven for his females and their offspring, and so you'll find a situation where this big male hippo is looking after this area and he's keeping out other male hippos that might come in. And we know that when other male hippos do come in, they'll often kill the babies and bring the females back into heat again, and so he's providing indirect protection by being the dominant male here. In terms of looking after it, and if, let's say, a crocodile tried to attack it, no, the female would do all that work. The female makes sure that she finds enough food for its baby, so she does all of that, and the rest of it is up to the sort of female to do. The male only really just provides a safe area for that female to survive in. And so indirectly, yes, he does, but he's not a direct sort of parent towards the little. There won't be any bonding between the young baby and the big adult male will be in this area. He'll kind of be off on his own a lot of the time, unless there's a female that's in heat. But you can see how that baby, it's too deep for it where it is. It's busy resting on it. Mom is basically like a pillow or a mattress, and it's got its head just kind of resting, there we go, on mom's back. And even when mom goes under, the little baby can still stay asleep. You can see the eyes are closing every now and then. Isn't that the cutest little thing? Baby hippos have got to have one of the cutest faces. I really enjoy little baby hippos. That's so cool. It's always so nice to spend time with lots of hippos and you sort of listen to their mornings where they grunt and snort and make a bit of a noise. And often at this time of the day, you'll actually even see them playing with one another, particularly the small babies. As these guys develop and they get into these shallow sections, they'll be able to then run around a bit, and you'll often find them chasing one another this time of the morning, and then late afternoon you see it again. And there's quite a lot of sort of games that go on between the two of them. Now, I wonder if we don't
Well, hello. Seems like the gremlins got a hold of Tristan. Don't you worry, guys. We are pretty parked right now for the moment. There's been the other two male lions roaring pretty much ahead of us somewhere in the distance. So we wanted to know if perhaps if we stuck around here, if they'll come to us. It seems like today we've been quite lucky with the lions, so why not try our luck a bit more and see if perhaps we can have a glimpse of another two. I wonder which two have been on Little Gowrie. Unfortunately, we can't see them, and I think we had such a wonderful morning following Mfumo around, and, you know, the excitement of going through the drainage, and just as we had lost hope, there he was, pretty much in front of the road. Well, on the road in front of us. That's actually what I meant. I think I'm still too excited and my heart is shaking. I still haven't gotten over how beautifully he has been roaring all along. And it's so funny. He's clearly been walking, looking for the brothers. I'm sure he could hear them in the distance, and he's walking. As he gets to Twin Dams, where it's nice and open, we can clearly hear the lions in the distance, and he's just like, no, sits down and has a bit of a break. That is, if that's not typical cat behavior, I don't know what it is. So yeah, we've left him on the dam wall. He hasn't moved from what I've been able to gather on the radio. He's just been pretty static there. So maybe I think he knows where the brothers are, so he's not too concerned because he knows he's not too far. But the other two seemed like they were moving, but I haven't been able to hear anything else in the time that we've been here. So I just thought we would give it a try. We are at another place at a distance from where Mfumo, where we left him. So who knows, maybe we'll get lucky again. It seems like today the lions finally came through after days and days of looking for them and just having them walk pretty much all over the place without being able to find them. I think we got very lucky this morning. It was a very, very good treat that Mfumo had in store for us. And we've had such wonderful things. We've had Thamba, we've had I wonder what's happening now, and all sorts of things moving around. Hello. Good, thanks. And you? Ah, good, very well. Had a very good morning. And you guys? Thank you. Good. Are they roughly whereabouts? Yeah, because I heard them earlier somewhere around here, so I'm just kind of waiting to see if perhaps they'll come around. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks. Yay, so good news. Maybe they're going to carry on coming this way. Megan, yes, there are always time limits at Big 5 sightings, but they're subjective to how many people there are and how many people want to come and view that particular animal. So in the morning, because there was nobody with this male lion and nobody was interested in coming to it, or, well, we just had Rexon for the morning, and sorry guys, haven't heard anything. So it was just Rexon and us, so if nobody else wants to come into the sighting, then we can stay with the animal pretty much as long as we want, as long as we're not causing any stress or anything. And I think the way he was walking, there was no ways we could have stressed him out, because he was just going in areas where we actually couldn't see him for a long period of times. But once, if a lot more people want to come, then you limit the amount of time that you want to spend with a particular animal, because you want to be fair with everyone, and everyone obviously wants a chance at looking at the animal. So, for example, in this little bit where we were looking for him, now towards the end of this drive, another 2 vehicles wanted to come and have a look at the lion, because one of them was actually trying to look at the lion earlier, but he went into the drainage and we couldn't see him. So he was helping us find them. That's the person that I called in on the radio so that he could maybe go onto one of the roads and wait for him. And somebody else was close by and he decided he wanted to come and have a look. So when we got into that sighting, there were a few of us when we saw him on the dam wall, but there were other people that then had asked to come and see him. So we just had a last look, and I mean, we've had such a fantastic morning. There was no need for us to carry on being with it, and we just gave somebody else a chance that now wanted to come and see it to then go see it. I think it's always important to be fair with all of the guides around, and just, we help each other out. So if I want to see something and it's going somewhere, then I'll try to make space for somebody else that wants to come and see it. But obviously, always keeping in mind the safety of the animal, because it gets a bit crazy sometimes if there are not the safety, the well-being, because nobody's going to do anything to a lion. But it gets a bit crazy sometimes if we are on roads where multiple properties meet and there's no traversing agreement between one property and the other property, because too many people wanna come into an area. So that's when it gets a bit tricky, and sometimes everyone just needs to calm down and think about it carefully, because it's a lot of toying around. But I think everyone that wanted to have a look, they've managed to have a look at Mfumo, and everyone's quite happy. And I think he hasn't moved. He's still at the dam wall from what I've been gathering from the radio. So he's been quite happy to stick around there, now making his brothers wait for him, or perhaps he also knows that they are moving. Like the other guide was saying, they're moving roughly into this direction. I haven't heard them in the last 10-15 minutes, so they could be walking. Maybe they had a bit of a lie-in while the Mfumo was busy patrolling this area and walking around, and the other two have been.
Well, we're still at Chitwa Dam because a whole herd of male impalas have just come down to drink, and we were hoping that we'd be able to get some nice reflections of them, but they seem very nervous of drinking here, and rightly so. As we know, there are a few crocodiles that lurk in this area, and so it's not the best place if you're an impala to drink. There's far better areas that will probably work a lot better. But they look so nice in this morning light. They have got this kind of bright appearance to them when the light is good. Oh, and we have a friend riding with us, Craig. You see this on our dashboard. So over here, now don't go away, but just over there on the edge of the dashboard is a jumping spider, or a Salticidae is its proper name. You can see these guys are such cool little spiders. Now, I know a lot of you are not big spider fans, but I love jumping spiders. They tend to have this almost comical appearance, and they always look as though they're busy, like they can't sit still, and they kind of twitch and move all over the place, and they use those big eyes to see what's going on, and then you'll find that they'll explode using these legs. And basically what happens is, the reason why they can jump is that they will force their hemolymph into their legs, when they'll pressurize it and then force it, and that causes almost like a hydraulic action, and that explodes the legs out, and they're able to then move. But now watch the amazing eyesight of this jumping spider. If I move my hand, look how he's moving towards wherever I am. So I'll try and show you. If I move my hand like this, the spider's eyes will actually focus on my hand. So as I move, it will move with it. There you go, you see? And that's now decided it's time to get out of here. Their eyesight is much better than a lot of the other spiders, and that's because they have much bigger eyes than a lot of the other guys do. But look at the camouflage as well. If that was on a tree, on a little branch, it would be impossible to see. There we go. Off you go. Now, careful you don't fall off the edge. Hopefully we don't see a spider suicide in the next little bit. It seems like he'll be alright though. They've got their spinnerets, and they generally will just drop a little line down. Now we've got some impalas that are having a little spar. Let's see. This is all just young males, so this is nothing serious, even though it is the rut. Ah, there we go. Our impalas are coming down to drink, Craig, which is quite nice. I know there's the dam wall behind, but you can see the reflections there are very, very pretty. There we go, having a good drink. So as I was saying just now, these bachelor groups like this are all the sort of younger males. None of these are dominant individuals, and even though the rut is busy taking place currently, none of these guys are actually going to be individuals that are really competing. These are all young impala that are around sort of 1.5 years or 2.5 years old, and they're not big enough yet to really challenge. The one that's drinking now maybe could. He's a slightly larger individual, and he could challenge now that it comes towards the sort of end of the rut. But most of these guys are younger ones, and that's why their condition is so good. If you find the really big male impalas at the moment, their condition is very poor. They've lost a lot of weight, their necks have gotten small, they're quite thin, and they look a bit raggedy, whereas these guys are shining, they look quite fat and healthy, and that's because they haven't had to fight or chase others around. They've had to just spend their time. Oh, little impala, oxpecker on the leg. It's not very comfortable. Shame, this poor impala's got one on its leg and one between its ears. Now those are both red-billed oxpeckers. So the yellow-billed oxpeckers, very, very seldom do you see them on the antelope species. Most of the time that I've seen yellow-billed oxpeckers, they've been on big buffalo herds or